We will call the meeting to order for the Oregon City Arts Commission on May 21st. I'll pass it over to Anne to do roll call.
Alexis Ingram, present. Amanda Dexter, present. Amy Wilson,
Here.
Josh Planton,
Here.
Rebecca Sierra,
Here.
and who am I missing? Kristen Nazeri,
Here.
Myra Ravenwise, here,
Okay.
and Joyce Lemaster.
Here.
I was trying to mix it up, like,
I thought so.
thank you, Joyce.
Awesome. Okay, so next up is then adoption of the agenda. We have a pretty full agenda tonight, a lot of good things coming in. We'll try and make our way through them as fast as possible. We might have to table things if they do get too long, but are there any other additions to the agenda that anyone would like to make? If not, is there a motion to approve?
I move to approve.
Thank you, Alexis. Is there a second? Amy. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say the same. Okay, we'll consider those approved. Next up are the minutes from April 16th meeting. Just so everyone is aware, the minutes that were sent out originally, I had some edits to those and I sent them over to Amy. So the version that's printed off in the meeting space here is the updated version. The edits were mainly just a few little editorial things that I noted. Nothing major in terms of content. Amy captured everything from my perspective very well from last meeting, so please have a look and just let us know if there's any other edits that you want to make. Anyone like to make a motion to approve the minutes with the edits that I submitted to Amy?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay. Thank you, Myra. Is there a second?
Seconded.
Thank you, Amanda. I love the diversification of people seconding and motioning. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say the same. Okay, we'll consider the minutes approved with those amendments. Thank you, everyone. Public comment. Anne, have we received any public comments?
None have been received.
Okay, thank you. Okay, time for meat and potatoes. First up is the Mural RFQ discussion and approval. So I will pass it over to Alexis and Amanda to brief us on their proposal that was included in the packet, and then we can take questions and comments after. So.
And I'll just start by saying that shout out to Alexis, because she pretty much did all of this by herself. I don't know if anybody's been paying attention at all to what's been going on with the Oregon City School District, but I'm pretty heavily involved in the union, the teachers union, and so my month has been nuts. And so Alexis, I even accidentally slept through a meeting with Alexis. So she really kind of did pretty much everything, and I had more of like a commentary kind of role. So
Well, it's good. I'm
gonna let her take it away.
Collaborative effort.
Yes.
I don't like existing in a vacuum.
No, and she did share with me, and I gave input, but
Yeah.
she pretty much did all the hard work. So I just want to thank her for that, for taking that on. And give
Thanks,
her credit.
Alexis. Maybe I'm speaking too soon, but so far it has not been too hard. So, happy to do so. I think the first thing I wanted to say was to start with is the difference between the RFQ and an RFP. So with Rebecca's good guidance and some examples of national standards, and the question that Anna, the mural artist, posed at our last meeting about why we're doing RFP versus RFQ. We kind of decided to do a hybrid model of both of them. So I think the spirit is about equity for artists and not asking them to do too much work to prepare an entire proposal without necessarily being selected. So the RFQ is just meant to like send us your resume and some examples of work that you've done, and don't, hopefully put too many hours into that. And then we'll review that and then select 2 or 3 finalists from, the RFQ process, and then pay a stipend to those that we select to do the full proposal and like lay out what they would want mural design to look like, and we'd be able to select from that. This was Rebecca's good guidance on this process, and I'm coming in new, so I didn't know if there was like already a process in place, and she was like, no, we can kind of make it up at this point in time. This is the time to do it. So I think I would suggest that this would be a good way to move forward with mural proposals from us, and we can set an example for how to do it so that when businesses want to do it, we have a template and a form. And so this is the RFQ proposal right now.
Is it RFQ plus?
RFQ
it's a hybrid?
plus, yeah. So this, I tried to combine, there was already a template for the RFP that you all had created at some point that Rebecca shared with me. So I tried to kind of use the familiar template, plug in the RFQ, and then like give a preview to like, there will be an RFP coming to those who make it through phase 1. So what I hope it is muddy. And that I think is my fear, is that I want to make sure that the artists understand the process that we're doing. And so that would be my question number 1, but I wanted to just share kind of that out because it's a little bit of a shift, I think, from past.
Thank you.
Sounds like a good plan.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to go through any specifics of the actual RFQ details?
So the things that I would like to get you all's attention on, I've got a list, so we can go through and talk about it. First of all, the highlighted section, it might not show up as highlighted in here. Did we highlight it?
Yeah, at the top on the second page.
Oh yeah, that's why it's hard to see. So this section for like project scope and goals, there's an examples of goals given, and one of them was giving out in the template about subject matter guidance, and that was something that I wanted to come to you all with. Josh thought it would be good to give guidance to artists about what we're looking for, but I don't want to be too limiting either. So it's a little bit, I think, for me, challenging in respecting an artist's vision and creative intent without like trying to button them into a small button box, pigeonhole. So one thing that I'd seen that had been circulating from this group about a theme was music, that we were wanting to think about adding music in. Some other ideas that I had was just about like thinking about the Oregon City Farmers Market and growing, and how we have a lot of people that grow flowers and have wineries in Oregon City, like Oregon's bounty kind of an idea that sticks with nature and doesn't go too deep into the historical celebration of pioneer culture. And then one other one that I think other people have, it's been brought up here, but it feels broad, but it feels like what people like at the Pioneer Center thing we got feedback on was just like nature broadly. But I also want, I think where the location is of this mural, we want it to like complement Anna's incredible one that she's gonna do of like the river with the fish and all the flora and fauna. So I don't want it to look exactly the same. Mm-hmm. So those were the 3 kind of broad themes that I was thinking. I didn't know if this group wanted to just do one theme or 3 or 2, or where y'all's heads were with that.
Is there any feedback on potential guidance on subject matter?
Yeah. So when I was thinking, is this not good? Is this better? Yes. When I was thinking about the location, I personally think you're right. We're going to be kind of bumping up against this, and part of the idea is that we want to spread this stuff around, right? And so having 2 clustered together, it's like, and then you do worry about the 2 maybe how they would communicate or not or whatever. Part of me would really like to do the far north end, even though it comes down in a really weird shape, be far enough away from both Anna's mural and Lee Kelly's piece, be seen a little bit. I know Josh has some great questions about if the city would actually allow us to shut down part of that because it's such an essential roadway and it narrows at that point. And then I was thinking, since it's so weird, one of the things that we don't see that we do get requests or we've had some feedback is something that just might be contemporary and abstract.
That's kind of what I was thinking too.
So you've got a weird shape, somebody can make weird shapes inside the weird shape. And so that's what I was thinking that might free us up a little bit from these really good concerns that you have.
Because I think I totally agree with you. I think some more contemporary style would really be great, like contemporary / nature. That way it would kind of tie in what's at the far end, the kind of the Lee Kelly being a little more modern, a little more abstract. And so it would kind of marry those together and kind of be cohesive. I was looking at some murals in Portland as I was driving through the last couple times, and I really think there's room to do something that is a little more contemporary. I really would love to see that.
Yeah, because we've been pretty traditional in most of our murals.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rebecca, you had your hand up. Did you have a comment?
Yeah, I was kind of thinking maybe we could discuss the length that is proposed in the RFQ, because I think that will also help with the discussion around, how to unify these sections. The 250 plus feet, in my opinion, and Josh and I have spoken about this earlier, is too long, especially for a $20,000 budget. And there's several reasons why it's too long. Anna's mural is about 150 feet. And so one idea is to break that wall up into sections over several years where there are different artists that do different parts of the length of that wall. And then we could look at how to unify those. Maybe there's a unifying color that's in the background of each one, or maybe there's some sort of a geometric line or something. We don't really have to decide on that right now, but I kind of want to bring that up because I do feel like that plays into kind of the design and look and feel of if we're going to break this length of this wall up into smaller sections. And one of the reasons why we discussed that is a highly used road. It would be hard to block it off, do a 256-foot long wall at one time. But if we had smaller sections, say that are 20 or 30 feet, you don't need as big of equipment. You could use, ladders and smaller bits of equipment that would only impact the sidewalk rather than the actual thoroughfare. So those were some things that we kind of thought about when we got the RFQ, and so I wanted to just bring those up.
Great.
Any?
I don't care. I just was tasked to measure the wall and come back with a size, and the whole length of the wall was 291 feet. So I wanted to give a little breathing room on the side of the elevator, on the side of Lee Kelly. But this is not. I'm not pitching anything. Okay. I'm just giving measurements.
No, and you did an amazing job. It's fantastic and so helpful because now we can actually have a conversation about all of this. This wall. So it's not a criticism.
No, I don't take it that way. I just want to let you all know, this is not my agenda to make a giant mural. But I do want to make sure that, because you're talking about a different location, Amy. You're talking about
The north end.
to the north end. So I didn't measure that. I only thought I was supposed to be measuring this one section of wall. So I didn't.
Between Lee Kelly and
The elevator.
Okay.
Also good.
Well, no, not between the elevator. If I'm correct, there's Anna's mural, the elevator, then Lee Kelly? Am I
Right.
wrong about that?
No, that's
Yeah,
correct.
Then
This
Lee
is
Kelly.
between 7th and 8th.
Yeah,
That.
Still, yeah.
It's where you turn back to get onto Main.
right.
So it's like a U staple shape. And once you're on Railroad, that's the straight that we were looking at. But once you're ready to turn left back onto Main, this is the end of that wall.
Yeah.
And it, kind of tapers, but I think it would also get some really good visibility in a way that the middle of the wall necessarily might not. And then it offers more opportunities for something that might be a little bit different, and we can stay far away from both of the other pieces of art for now.
I'm gonna try and share my screen just so everyone can get a visual of the wall and what's there.
Does Oregon City have official colors?
The organization of the city has branding, but that's different than a community. As a community, I don't think so. No. Yes.
Oh, look at you being clever. There we are.
So this is the Lee Kelly portion.
So, yeah, I measured to the right.
Okay.
Right.
This is really
That's a
helpful,
lot.
Josh.
It is a lot of wall. It is.
And it's sad. It needs color.
Yeah, it's nasty.
So we're gonna have a lot of opportunity here.
Absolutely. 'Cause I was down there on the day of the antique fair, and so I got to see when like a lot of street traffic and people walking past the elevator and stuff. And it made me excited to think about making these walls not just be concrete anymore.
Yeah. I think this is the tightest spot of this drive is right here after you pass the elevator. After that, it opens up a bit more, which would potentially give the artist more room to work without impacting traffic too much, which one thing you have to remember is since we are the applicant in this case, this has to go to the city commission for approval. The city commission is going to say, how is this going to impact residents and businesses in Oregon City? And if it's shutting down this road, which I have been around when they've shut down this road before to do updates or fix things.
It was shut down during the antique fair.
It's
Yeah.
it's shut down for festivals.
But is that on a weekend?
all the time?
Yeah.
So I think a weekend might be a little bit different. Weekdays, especially rush hour times, it can get very, very busy. I mean, we could work out a plan with the city on that or with Public Works on like what could work. But to the point that Rebecca made, 250 feet, that would take many weeks to complete. And that would be, I think, too much of an impact to traffic flow, or it would impact delay the artist's ability to get it done, and dragging them out when they would want to, complete it was kind of the idea that
Could you keep going down the road?
section, yeah. You want to go to the north end?
I do.
All about that north end.
That's right, baby.
You
Which
can
is
tell it's a long
also-
wall by all the clicks.
Also a very long
There you
wall.
are. Whoa, no, back
was the end
up, my
right
friend.
That's
There.
the end.
Unfortunately, the car doesn't get any further away from the wall.
Yeah, also very long.
It doesn't have to be. That could be broken up
We
too.
stop right before it points.
I mean, it's up to us, however long we want it. And yeah, we could take that little,
Maybe
whatever it is, as a stopping point. I mean, it's funny because I am not proposing, and it's a good thing Denise is not here, I am not proposing graffiti, but that is the format of a lot of graffiti where they can put a lot of really interesting shapes in something that's long and linear.
You mean utilize the unique shape of the wall
Yes.
to emphasize maybe aspects of the art itself?
So yeah, site
Okay.
specific, and then allowing for something that's a little different, perhaps contemporary,
More urban.
perhaps
I was
more urban.
leaning toward urban, but maybe not too urban. Just because
Well, we could
Oregon
take
City.
some of the other ideas that Alexis put out and do it in a contemporary or abstract fashion. So music in an abstract fashion like that.
Notes go like that.
Yeah, or I like the Oregon Bounty. That's kind of cool because this was a very big agricultural community and stuff.
Still is.
Still has, a lot of agriculture. My great uncles and grandma used to pick hops down there. So, I mean, yeah, there's always been that kind of uniqueness to Oregon City. So I'm cool taking that and applying the contemporary abstract and seeing what people come up with. I think that's enough of a direction, but broad enough that an artist can come back with options.
Should we figure out the length that we want?
And the location. I mean,
Well, that's my preferred.
is everyone good with that spot, I guess?
Yeah, the question is like, how much of it do we, because if we're going to divide it up into sections, like how much of it would we want the first section to be? What would be a
It's a great phone
realistic?
pole, right?
The phone pole seems like
there's
the
a
nice
phone
brick.
pole there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
between the Lee Kelly sculpture and the phone pole, there's a road that goes
That's a
toward.
way.
There's not a road, but there's an arrow. There's a directional arrow.
Oh, yeah, there's a directional arrow. You probably
So do we have
can't,
to incorporate that?
you probably can't
or
paint
fix it
over
up?
that.
I would say being on the other side.
They have the one-way sign up above, so you might be fine.
That's true.
I bet you, I can check with I'll check with Public Works, as long as you don't interfere with any of the parking signs, which aren't an issue here, but are more of an issue down where, and
It does kind of take account.
I don't have any concept of scale from even like what that is from the telephone pole there to the
So
end.
you figure an average car there, you've got maybe
Four cars?
4.
You can use
5?
Google Maps to measure.
Oh, that's fine. Have you ever done
Oh, you can measure on Google Maps.
Google Maps.
I think I'd like to start.
I'd even go down to the
In the
road after
first
my giant
area.
rolling. Could have just been on.
So bad for not coming down there holding the other end of it.
The guy that was blocking traffic out from Oregon City, he held the other end for me. That was very nice.
Rebecca, you have your hand raised, sorry.
It's okay. Anne, does Public Works clean the wall for the Soul Flags mural? Because that would be something important to put in the RFQ to let artists know if the wall is going to be, we have to tell them it's concrete, but is it going to be cleaned by the city, or is the artist responsible for cleaning the wall?
The city is going to power wash the wall before the Soul Flags mural goes in. That was something James negotiated with Public Works better than a year ago. We could have that conversation with them again and see if they're available to do the power washing. I'd have to ask.
I think that would be really important to know because one, the wall belongs to the city and they may want to know exactly what's being used to clean the concrete. And two, it's really important for the artists applying to know what kind of surface they're working on and how much prep work that they have to do for it. Sure. And that would be important to include in the RFQ.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Rebecca, do we need that for the RFQ or can we do that in just the RFP? I'm just thinking about in terms of like timing. I'm trying to get the,
I know, and the timing piece we really should all discuss because as I was looking at it, I'm like, man, 2 weeks is not enough time to notify people, get the word out, give them time to respond and submit their interest. So I'm wondering, we could make mention of it. I think it would be helpful because, especially for professional muralists, for them to know ahead of time what they're looking at. If they're going to have to do the wall prep or if it's ready for them to get started on, because that does impact their budget. So ideally, we would have that information for the RFQ. And so I was wondering if typically the RFQ is a 4 to 6 week process. What if we could somehow make the RFP process a little shorter? Because we do give them a heads up in the RFQ. If you are selected, please be prepared to submit your ideas. So I wanted to see what you guys thought of that.
So I want to share some information that I think might help address this issue, because I do think it's one we need to talk about. And we put this timeline on ourselves. I feel like I kind of was responsible because I kind of said getting one done this year would be great. In terms of what's happening right now in the city, we have a mural going up at the other end of this street that Anna and Soul Flags have been working on for a long time, and we're planning to have that done. Not to steal Anne's thunder, but another application came in recently for another mural possibly at the event, or the elevator plaza, or Elevate Plaza, which is just across the street at where the elevator comes up. The building owner there wants to put one in and is working with an artist to put in a mural there. I've also been contacted by another gentleman, maybe it's the same gentleman you talked to, who recently purchased what was the Trail and Saloon. He would like to put together a mural for that building, and that wall faces the Subaru dealership there. And then there was another one. Moot is looking at doing a mural as well over there, where their current naming is on their building. Theirs might take a little bit longer, but in terms of murals in the city, if you include this one here, that would be 5 that could potentially come into existence in the next year.
That's great.
It's great news. And so if we want to take our time with this, I will say this personally, if we want to take our time with this one to make sure it's done, really well, that we give ourselves time to think and we don't put unnecessary pressure on ourselves, I am happy if we were to let it slide where we select someone maybe this winter, but it's to give us time to then make sure everything's right and have the actual art begin next spring. We also have to get this by the city commission, which means that's going to be could be a bit of a walkthrough that we have to do to present this and have everything complete. So if we take our time now, it might make that process easier. So that's what I will put out there. Happy to have anyone else throw out any other thoughts or
Great,
questions.
let's do that. I mean, I think that if I was trying to move at the pace that you were wanting us to go at, Josh, but if we have time to breathe, then we could do a field trip down and look at the space all together and think about things. I think that I'd feel a lot more confident that we're doing it in the right way.
Yeah.
And giving artists enough time too. That was my concern with the timing. I had to build back from the rain basically. And it made things so jammed, and I was like, and I have this thing going out tomorrow. That was that's where I started from, was getting, and so if we have that space, then all have time. If we can put it out and have those windows we can share with our networks, advertise, we've given artists more time. I'd feel better about that.
Yeah.
Do we, so there will be a big gap between when we choose somebody in the winter and when they can actually get started painting because of the weather. Do we want to choose them in the spring as well?
I figured we'd end up doing the same thing that Soulflix has done with Anna, where once we select the artist, the draft's all done, we would go to the city commission and say, here's what we have prepared, have a look, and we have the artist there with us, is a better, I think, way of doing it than, and that would give us, maybe January, February, March to do that meeting with the city commission and address any concerns they have, and if we have to do another cycle, but then that way the artist can also then plan out their schedule a little bit.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
Because sometimes they do, if they're really qualified, then they might have a few projects lined up. So
Yeah.
that gives them some flexibility, which I'm okay with. We just have to spend the money by June 30th.
Next June, though.
Next June 30th.
We just need
Yeah,
to
sorry.
pay an artist by next June 30th.
Yes.
Yeah, that seems definitely.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was thinking that too.
Any other
I was
thoughts?
gonna say, I also like,
Oh, go ahead, Kristen.
I was just gonna say, I also like the idea of waiting, let Anna do her work. We'll get all the lessons learned from her project on what that traffic is like, what that wall is like, to then apply to a later artist, which I think will be super beneficial.
We're so smart.
Excellent.
Procrastination wins.
Yay.
Okay, so why don't I then take it on me to kind of go back to the drawing board on this drafted RFQ, go look at that wall length down where the tapering is, put in some stuff about the concrete wall, put in the timing of 4 to 6 weeks, and blah, 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 and get this thing ready to go when we know about if it's going to be cleaned or not, if the wall's going to be cleaned.
Yeah.
And then we've got the themes. And then we'll be ready to like move on it when the time is right.
And I will come and hold the other end of the tape with you this time, I promise.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Are we, for getting an artist, are we putting feelers out into like the Portland area for an artist, or are we trying to keep it really in Oregon City?
I think in here
I
there's
think
another
it
one
was
that was
Pacific
Pacific Northwest.
Northwest because I wanted to like make it expansive.
Okay, love
Like
it.
open and like, again, this was just me putting some stuff on paper. Like this is not, I don't have an agenda with this at all.
Well, and now we have a little bit more time to think about the theme. And maybe even bring more ideas back to the table.
On those lines, the fellow that bought the Trails and Saloon, was he talking about music as a theme? Or did you?
Well, yes, I believe he wants to make it into another music venue, just like Trail and Saloon was. So I think that would be part of that. So yeah, something to consider, but we haven't done anything real music-wise. Like we've done some stuff with Porch Fest or some Porch Fest artists at like the 6x6 show, but there's not a lot of representation in the two-dimensional or three-dimensional art in Oregon City either, which might be something we want to highlight. So if we get 2 in 1 year, yeah.
It makes sense that it's going to be on a building where music occurs versus on a turn that you're going, whoa, what's that? Cool. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Like the idea of abstract, I don't know why I'm stuck on that here, but just because it's such a weird place, and it would be kind of funny to see something funky and abstract and not necessarily have to have a concrete theme.
Maybe
but
not something with as much detail and like little nuance, like that you're like, wait, what are those grapes? Like I need to slow down and look at this part.
that.
Something that you
Yeah.
appreciate.
I think
Right, something
like
that's just
Quickly, like that's really cool.
add some
Yeah,
color, add some life, some verve.
I think we should include a photo of the wall in the RF.
Yes, I think we should include measurements,
Yeah.
photos of the wall, some information about the area, so map kind of so people can, artists can kind of see and understand the spot. One, and I'm not trying to say this should go over the abstract, because I do like that, but one thought I had driving back today from a meeting in Central Oregon was, if we could get the license for it, something with like the Oregon Trail game. Remember that? The Oregon Trail, and your wife died of dysentery or
Public
something.
license.
And your neighbors ate your kid because you ran out of food, like, huh?
But that would be a big, I think, draw of just like young people, nostalgia. There's all sorts of things tied to that. People would come out of the woodwork for that.
Yes, it's very popular. There's a whole entire 5K race happening this weekend about it.
Yeah.
Right here in Oregon City.
Except
They
people,
trip each other up and then like,
people would try
have
to
to,
take
like,
their pictures with it and then get run over.
seriously, somebody comes up and says, good rum at your dad?
Yeah, I mean, that's how it was when I did it before. It was like a
Don't
slip of paper.
understand this.
I wasn't necessarily thinking it might be good for this spot, but something to think about in the future.
I like that.
I was thinking if you did it on like some of the electrical boxes around town, like different
That's what I was
scenes.
thinking of too the other day. I was like, we need to cover some of these electrical boxes and like utility things.
Yeah, just those little pop-ups here and there.
There's some around
Something we
Tualatin
could do
and
with like stickers or something like that, as opposed to actually painting on them.
You mean like a vinyl wrap or something? Maybe.
yeah.
And
Yes.
we can have them designed and have a graphic designer do them, but then
I didn't mean to take us off
Absolutely.
topic, but that would just hit my head coming back about.
I have more ideas about
We got starvation and deprivation. They're really good.
So what I'm understanding,
Weird.
what I'm understanding is Alexis and Amanda will take this back off, take some of the feedback that we provided, make some updates to this, and then come back with a more comprehensive proposal that we'll look at in June.
Sure, great.
That works?
Good. Breathing room, that feels good. I was getting a little anxious about finding the right artist.
When we first started the Arts Commission up back in like 2021, and we started doing things, I always felt that we were very reactionary and not being proactive. Like we were letting and rightly so, some deadlines dictate what we did versus dictate our own deadlines. And yeah, so I think when we can do that and we can give ourselves some breather, we should take advantage of that.
Absolutely, yeah, because we all
Let's do it
know
right.
what happened last year.
Yeah, that would be
Yeah.
fun.
Okay, any other comments, questions on the RFQ before we move on to the next item?
Love it.
Feel good about it. It'll be a standing agenda item for the next 7 months.
Yeah. Okay, so the next thing up is the enhancement grant application review and approval. So background, just to bring everyone back up to speed, the applications for the enhancement grant in Oregon City is due tomorrow by 5 p.m. We had the Creative Action Lab, and from that, we identified the lamprey statue as the primary, the lamprey statue and the lamprey marketing and all that kind of stuff as a primary project that we wanted to implement. I took that information offline and I went to kind of review what options we had out there. By chance, by pure chance, I was looking on the Oregon City website and I came upon a proposal, and they're actually having a meeting about it tonight up at the municipal court. But the Parks Department is planning to do a major renovation of Clackamas Park.
Oh, wow.
Which is where they hold the Lamprey Festival. Within that development, there are about 4 or 5 areas where they're planning to put public art, like statues. Mm-hmm. And one that they were planning to do was a lamprey statue. That's right by they're gonna have a motorized and a non-motorized dock, boat ramp. And actually right across from that is where the largest, I guess, Pacific lamprey breeding grounds is. So it makes sense. So I was able to get a hold of Thomas at the Parks Department, and I was also, in addition to this application that I put together, we can review in a second, we also got a letter of permission from the Parks Department to do this. They think it's a great idea. They also think that they could take the work that we're doing and some of the money that we raise and apply it towards grants that they're working on and say, this is our match. So it gives them a better chance of maybe getting some grants for that project so they can fund it and get it working out. The drawback here is that because that development might take a few years to complete, if we get the grant to do this statue this year, Parks would be willing to put it in another park for a period of time until that spot becomes available after the development, and then they would place it there. Mm. So there'd be kind of a two-step process to this. So this this application is only looking at the creation of the statue and the initial placement. And then after that, we might have to do something with Parks and figuring out how we do moving it to the final location. And it could even go down to Clackamas Park and be in an area where they're not going to heavily develop and then move it. So it's not like they're having to move it miles. But that's kind of the initial gist of the idea. I'll stop there and see if there's any questions.
Comment. Woohoo!
It was very, just
Happens.
just clicking on things, kind of just trying to get my head some things to think about. Mm-hmm. If you ever sat down and tried to write something from scratch, you're like, okay, how do I do this? What do I need? And so, yeah, it worked out really well. So in the proposal itself, I give a brief description. Basically, the statue will be in Clackamas Park, across from the largest breeding ground. I didn't state that it would be any specific type of material in the image. The rendering that I used AI to create, just to have some kind of visual, it is like a bronze statue, because I understood that was maybe kind of what people were talking about at the meeting at the Creative Action Lab. But it could be something else. It could be a wood, it could be a stone, but it could, once we identify an artist, we'll pick what material works best for them. So the other stuff is talking about how does it, directly meet and selected goals. So the goals that I picked were enhance art and culture within Oregon City, preservation or enhancement of wildlife areas, wetlands, forests, all that. Along with the statue, what I would like to do, getting the idea from the Soul Flakes mural, is we could do a one or two QR codes that kind of go along with it that people can scan, and it can give them information on the conservation efforts that the Yakama Nation are employing to try and preserve the populations. They're not like endangered yet, but more and more infrastructure on the water has caused their habitat. So that group has been very active in trying to preserve that, given the cultural significance to them. We also, I have a meeting with the Yakama Nation tomorrow, and they're interested in signing on as well with a letter of support saying we would really appreciate this, and we could do an unveiling of it at the Lamprey Festival next year is kind of what we're going for. So they have a draft of a letter of support that I sent them. I said they can change it however they want, but just giving them some ideas to think about before we have our conversation tomorrow. Unfortunately, they weren't able to meet before tomorrow, so the plan would be to, if we got a letter from them, from the Parks Department, and our application all being submitted together. We only technically need the letter of permission from the parks and our application, but the Yakama Nation signing on would be, I think, a big win for us as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Lastly,
You should mention
go ahead.
that we did not know that the area where they would ultimately like this piece to be seated is where the breeding grounds are for the Pacific lamprey,
Yeah.
which is really cool. It's on the Clackamas River side, just before the Clackamas River meets up with the Willamette River. And I didn't know that. And that is a really neat piece of, information, educational information about the area and about the lamprey. So that's really cool too.
It's very cool.
Icon for Oregon City.
Yeah. I mean, it's a unique subject matter because it's often in society today not seen as a pleasant animal, but
Oh, vampire.
yeah, but it's been here, I mean, millions of years, and it has such a, they used it for so many things back in the day. So it is a really cool subject matter. Kristen, you have your hand raised.
You had mentioned the QR code, and I know that came up during Anna's presentation. Had that been sorted out yet then?
No, I think Mike has been working on identifying, what the city requirements would be for such a thing. My guess is that it's going to go the route that the city would want to own whatever site is connected to the QR code. But we haven't had official response from him yet. I saw him in the parking lot outside just before I walked in, and I should have reminded him if he had come off his plate, but we can follow up by email. So we don't have a clear answer yet, but my guess is it's leaning towards the city will want to maintain ownership of in some capacity.
I think actually that's definitely true. When he asked me about it, I thought one possibility would be to just have it come to the Arts Commission website. Because that is something that we already have that MOU developed, and there's already, connection with the city. So, one possibility would be for it to go to it does need to go to a site that the city has.
And one other thing, we could also just do it to a website that has a forwarding. So as soon as you go to that website, it'll forward you to one. And that way, if you ever needed to change it, all you have to go back to is where the website that it's forwarding from and change what it forwards to. And then you can control which way it's pointed. That way, the city would control the direction, and then the ultimate resting, website could be, it could be the Yakama Nation if we're talking about the conservation stuff. So we're not having to maintain that information. They are, but it works through a forwarding system.
I'd be surprised if that was the case, but, because again, they lose control if it's in somebody else's bailiwick to adjust it, and
No. Yakima Nation wouldn't adjust it. Oregon City would adjust that it's going to Yakima, and then they could go back and say, no, we want to go back to our website. Or no, we want to go to the Grand Ronde. They're working on it. It's basically a website that only forwards. And you do this a lot when you have like a web address that is .com versus .org versus .net. They buy all the domains and they point them to one website, and that's how they could do it that way.
it'd be interesting to hear. My concern again, and I'm speaking for the city, I'm assuming the city has the same thing. There's a difference between something that's educational, that adds, because this is a public gift for public to look at and enjoy in whatever way. It's not meant to be branding. Mm-hmm. It's not meant to point to anybody who might have gotten a grant to create it and talk about their agenda, or, I mean, I know that we would like to have something for the tribes, but that's the difference, I think, is that if it's purely going to just be informational, that'd be great, but if it's something else, then I would be leery.
And that's very true, but again, that's why they have the control of, we'll point it at your site, but if it becomes a branding thing where you're just promoting your agenda on the page, then we can take it off, and we can either not have it go anywhere, or we could have it go to another site.
Do people like the idea of it going to a dedicated page within the Oregon City Arts Commission webpage that just talks about the mural?
I do. It makes the most sense to me.
I think so. Yeah.
That's it.
It's easier to keep an eye on as opposed to going somewhere else.
Absolutely.
You're talking specifically about the mural.
Correct.
Okay.
Oh, the mural.
And I would say the same thing for the statue.
Well, I don't mind having one QR code that would take you to a page that we maintain for the statue itself and the process and all that stuff. Yeah. But if we also want to promote the conservation efforts of the lamprey, we could have another QR code that goes to the Yakima Nation's fishery, and they have pages and pages of information on conservation efforts.
I would caution us on, there are many tribes that do lamprey conservation, and highlighting I know that the Yakima Nation has been the one that's started the lamprey celebration, but by just highlighting their efforts, we are excluding the other tribes' efforts, and I don't think that we want to get in that space.
Correct, which why I was suggesting a means of something that allows us to gatekeep where it's pointed, so we can, maintain that neutrality.
The other comment I have about the application is that I think we should use the full name, the tribes and bands of the Yakima Nation, and every time that we're referring to them out of respect, and not just Yakima Nation.
Yeah, we can do that.
I had a quick little just typo or question potentially. Under the project period beginning and end dates, did you mean for the end date to be June 30th, 2027?
Did I put 26? Yeah.
Okay.
Good catch.
May I ask a question? And you can think about, in terms of the QR code itself, is there a way to paint it in a way that it's not sort of that stark black and white, that it kind of blends in? I've seen...
It can be a lot of different colors.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not an expert at it at all. I've seen other QR codes that almost blend into the color palette of whatever it is planted on, and just the way the distance between the squares or something.
Yeah.
So I wonder if we have time to have a conversation with Anna about that and how it blends into the rest of the...
Rebecca, you have your hand up?
Yeah, so there are security issues with QR codes.
That's also true.
And I've been thinking about this quite a bit because sometimes, bad players will put a sticker over the QR code to look like it belongs there. Mm-hmm. I have seen some QR codes that are actually like bronze, like a stamped QR code that's a little bit harder, more difficult to falsify. And that is something that we unfortunately should probably consider. I don't know, how much of an issue it is in Oregon City right now, but it is a possibility, and we do have to think about that.
Yeah, so if it is included in part of the art itself, or if it's like a bronze material, something that can't be changed with just putting a sticker over it, I think I think that's better. I agree with you and with your point, Anne. So yeah, I would say that would be the route, but I think we need to hear back from Michael in official capacity of like, here's what the city would require with it, and then we can have that conversation with Anna about how it's going to work. I think that would be our next step.
But if you submit this proposal then saying that we're going to do a QR code at the lamprey for the grant proposal, does that get us into a binding situation?
Well, I probably wouldn't do the QR codes until maybe it was finally placed, because my thinking is that, like Rebecca was saying, it would be part of a plaque that would go where it sits and on the pedestal that it finally sits on. I mean, it's something we could discuss when we are working with the artists, and if it's a matter of, yeah, I can create a QR code in metal when I build the statue itself and it all goes together, then yeah, we can have that conversation then. I was simply putting the QR code information in here as a way of saying, in addition to the art itself, we would be providing opportunities to messages around preservation or enhancement of wildlife areas. So that would kind of meet two goals or another goal of the enhancement grants committees.
Maybe we can say that we're looking at the opportunity. We'd like to consider the opportunity.
More vague
That works.
and maybe say about tribal efforts on restoration or indigenous communities' efforts on restoration instead of just the Yakima Nation too. I know Warm Springs has a really robust lamprey conservation effort, and the lampreys start at the Warm Springs Reservation, then come to us. So like they're really proud of that origin story too. And I've been to the original spawning grounds on the reservation, and so I don't want to exclude what other tribes are doing either.
No, that's a good point. The reason the Yakima Nation again was selected here was given their festival and their conservation efforts in this area. We can always say, yeah, point them to a site this is what's happening here, but there's also conservation efforts happening elsewhere throughout Oregon with the lamprey, and we can kind of give a list. And maybe it is a page on our website, and it just provides links to a bunch of different pages, and that's it. We don't try and upkeep it to say we know what we're talking about with lamprey conservation. But we point them in a lot of different directions. I think that would be fine.
Lampreys without borders.
Yep. The last piece here that I wanted to bring up real quick before I ask if there's objections to approving is the budget. So how the budget works this year is that we have to contribute up to 50% of the total grant requested amount. So thinking about a bronze statue could be quite large, given the example that I kind of put together. It doesn't have to be necessarily that large, but my thinking is that a $30,000 grant request would be acceptable. Personal services, contracts, that would be the artist. Materials, $20,000. We would provide a cash contribution, so the entire materials for the project would be at $25,000. The artist would, be roughly about $10,000. That can flex a little bit. I mean, these are supposed to be, somewhat estimates because costs shift and stuff over time. Construction costs and specific project, another $5,000 for that. So that would be the initial placement. We could help, and parks, I think, would be willing to help pay for some of that too if we needed a little extra to get it situated for next year. And then transportation, I figured moving and placing, you're gonna maybe need a crane or some large vehicle to do that. And then administrative costs, just the coordination efforts that we'll be taking over the course of the next year to talk to parks, talk to the Yakima Nation, talk to anyone else who wants to be involved, and just kind of coordinate. Because if we want to have it unveiled at the Lamprey Festival, we want to make sure that Yakima Nation is included in that planning process.
I don't think we get to claim admin costs. I think that's part of
This is in-kind match.
do in-kind.
$33.
Okay, good, because I was like, we don't get to claim any of that.
Yeah. No, you can up to 10%.
Oh, that's new.
But
Okay.
so I didn't do, I did roughly about 8-9% of the total cost in admin, but in kind.
So how do you-
we are going to give 15,000 of the, and we're asking for 30,000. And then about 3,000 is in kind match. So total estimated cost is 48,000.
Okay, I guess we'd have to count our assessment as volunteer hours, though. That's the thing, is we don't have
What assessment?
pay rate. Whatever we're saying is going to go into the admin, we clearly can't be paid, we're volunteer, but there is a rate for volunteer hours.
But we're basically saying we're going to work this amount of hours pro bono for free as volunteers.
Right, but then that counts as in kind.
That's what I'm saying, we can claim that as in kind.
And
Yeah.
there's a pay rate for it.
Yeah, $33.49 is what I think the application states. So that's what I ran it as. My estimate with that 3,000, that's about 100 hours of work.
Great.
So that would be a combination of planning and stuff, and then whatever we talk about in here.
We're on the same page.
Yeah.
Great.
Any other questions?
Okay, if Parks and Rec is using us to show collaboration to look more favorable for their grant, I'm assuming we're putting them in this grant now too. I'm sorry, I read it and now I've forgotten if we did, so that it would look,
Well, they've sent a letter of permission basically saying they're going to work with us, that they are happy to allow this project to happen in Clackamas Park.
would they be able to contribute any funds? For instance, you were talking about installation and building plinths and transporting.
We didn't get into details on that. My guess is on the budget estimate that I've put together that we should be fine for most of it, but if we do get to a point where we're like, we either need to take a little more out of our coffers or ask Parks if they'd be willing, that's a conversation we could have with them. Thomas was very interested in ongoing conversations after we, if we receive the grant or not. Additionally, oh my gosh, what was I just going to say?
Tom wants to talk.
Well, when we get to the second phase of it, there might be more conversation there about who would ultimately, because if they're putting together, say, a $250,000 renovation of that area, they will likely maybe have a little extra money that they could pay, their guy who's already moving a bunch of statues in or something to also pick up that one and place it, and no additional cost to us. But that, again, could be 4 or 5 years down the road, depending on how long it takes them to get the funding all tied up and get into development. And the other cool thing about that park development that I'll throw out there is that their plan is to build not an amphitheater, but a outdoor stage area there, right along the river, and it can accommodate, I think Thomas said up to 5,000.
Wow.
So it could be a very large venue, very cool venue, one of a kind in this area.
Oh, the wheels are turning instantly.
And McDonald's about to
So
get real busy.
the fact that we came upon this is very good timing because there's potential more art to go in there. There's the music aspect of this. So there's lots of cool things happening there that we can, hopefully this helps, tie us in there a little bit more with the Parks Department and all that.
I hope part of the
last
renovation
thing-
has to do with parking.
Well, hopefully the shopping center, people can park there and get walk over, or they could do even golf carts and stuff if you had a big enough thing and just taking people like you do at the airport.
Beep, beep.
Yeah, when they turn, point turn.
Oh, man.
Gosh, I wish we were further along in our percent for the arts thinking. Because if this is going to be as big a development as it is, and they already want to focus on art, it would be perfect to have a percent for
They've
the
got
arts.
a lot of projects coming down the road. I think we still have some time to maybe make some headway on that.
Okay.
It will be a lot of work, but again, one thing that I do want to, mention is that I appreciate all the work that everyone is doing on this group. I don't want to get us to the point that we all burn out. So yes, while we do need to move swiftly in some ways, we want to be still strategic and thoughtful of everyone's time and commitment. And yeah, that's me personally speaking there. So the percent of the arts, it's on my list. I've started putting in some information, but I don't want to, again, we have a certain number of minutes in a meeting.
I hear you.
So,
I'm willing to take that on, by the way.
okay.
Just saying.
Done.
Noted
Motion
and
to
noted.
approve.
So, we're, I guess with the enhancement grant, my request is with the proposed changes that I've received tonight, updating it, if we can get the recommendation, I think it's actually the fishery that might sign the letter. If we get them to sign on, submitting all of that with the parks letter tomorrow by 5 p.m., is there any concerns with that, or does someone want to make a motion to approve that?
I'll make a motion to
Okay.
approve your submission of the grant proposal for the Metro Enhancement Grant.
I second.
Awesome. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those approved say the same.
The same.
Sorry, all those, all those against say the same. It's been a long day. Okay, we'll consider that one approved. Thank you, everyone. Okay, next up is Art for Every Heart proposal.
Okay, I'll try to get
Joyce and
through
Myra.
this quickly because we don't have a lot of time.
We have to 8:30, so I scheduled about 20 minutes for this, but take your
Yeah,
time.
it's probably, I'm thinking it would take more, but anyway.
We'll see.
Okay, this is based on a lot of information that Rebecca provided, so we kind of reworked some of the verbiage. Art for Every Heart is the program name that will stay the same, but we'd like to go with a theme for every contest. We'd like to keep it fresh, because I think Art for Every Heart, every time we run the contest, it's going to get a little stagnant. We'd also like to focus on specific art disciplines for each contest. We're gonna, obviously, we want to open it to more types of art disciplines. As we know last time, it was mostly to the art. We'd like to specifically focus on, say, 1 year we're going to do music. 1 year we're going to do theater. 1 year we will do 2D. 1 year we're just going to, take each particular discipline and give them a chance to shine with a particular theme. Want to keep the pot is 2,000. We want to keep that whole pot for the prize money. We had talked about some kind of celebration, but that was dipping into that pool money. But we think it's more important to pay the artist. That's a lot of work for a prize, and then we're going to dip into that prize money. So we'd like to keep the prize money to go towards the artists. And the prizes will be awarded during one of our sessions here in the July session. And we'd like to have the mayor present the awards so they can bring their family and friends and so forth. It would be obviously videoed. They'd it would be documented. I think that's a pretty good, honorable thing for to receive an award from the mayor. I'm trying to just get through the highlights. We're going to do it just for 18 and over this time. We ran into some legal issues with children last year, so it's going to just be 18 and over. There's no charged for entry. And we had talked about using open space space in the empty retail space downtown on Main Street to showcase the winning pieces, but I'm not really too keen on putting artwork in an empty retail space, but I thought maybe photographs of the winning art with, I really liked that logo that Rebecca had come up with at the Resource Center Fair. We could, make that larger and then have photos of the winning art and maybe with the artists with their pieces in the storefronts. That would have to be, I don't know, we're gonna have to work that out with the owners of the buildings and see which places are available. And we're gonna have to do some outreach to all of these different disciplines so that we can get these particular disciplines to participate. Clackamas County Arts Alliance, we can use them to do outreach for particular, when you have an event, that's really nice, you can just go on there and tell them what you want to do. We can use them for the initial outreach. Can also use social media, whatever resources we have through social media. And we'd like to open the window for the contest to start in February and go through May, so that the public will have more time we want the public to have input on the winning pieces. We will obviously view the pieces first, or whatever this discipline is, and then put out, say, 10 pieces for the public to decide which ones they like, and then we'll have the 3 winners. We have 3 categories there, and we'll decide, from what the public thought, who were their favorites. Mm-hmm. And I thought in December we could all come together and decide which discipline we want to go with for that contest, and what theme we want to go with. And I came up with a whole bunch of different themes, and I could do this all day. But if anybody else has ideas, please feel free to give your input. And if you have any other contacts that you know of for, say, somebody who is specific, I'm going to obviously use you for the music. Mm-hmm. And if you know someone who can specifically, we could reach out to those people for that. And I'm pretty sure I'm leaving out a lot of stuff, but, please feel free to, clue me in. I'm going to make sure that everybody gets a copy of this so you can read, what the whole proposal is.
Okay. Myra, do you have anything to add?
I do want to bring up that in the past, there's been an assertion that, or a guideline or a suggestion that, going back to the prize money, that the winners would be getting award amounts that are 600 or less. And the assertion is that that makes it easier on the city. But I'd like to assert, along with Joyce, that the artists should be paid well. And we're wondering if, because this contest is only happening every 2 years, if the city's willing to work with us on that and willing to let us pay the artists better in this contest. So we wanted to bring that up as a point of discussion.
I think it has to do with taxable income and reporting.
So it's a hard line.
No, it just means if we do that, then if they get paid, they'd have to submit a W-9 so that the city can report to the IRS that they were paid over that limit.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the only thing. So it's not a huge lift to get a W-9 for 3 people. That shouldn't be a barrier
Okay.
to this.
Okay.
So, yeah, the first prize would be $1,000. So the other two would be, one would be $500, and then there's two $250 awards. So it would just
Okay.
be for the first prize.
So 2,000 total for prizes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And my other question was that if we are going to use the money that we allotted for prize money, that might cause us to not have much of a budget to install artwork downtown. So we may need to rethink that and revisit that. Because installing it, depending on whether it's 2D art or if it is like music or dance, are we going to need to have some kind of setup that's playing the video of what's happening? So I just want to be able to throw that out there as something to take into account for future discussion or tonight or.
Okay.
Right, and I also wanted to know if, say it is 2D, be kind of nice to have a permanent place for that, to house it for 2 years as a display. Say maybe here in City Hall.
Yeah.
And then
Okay.
when the next round comes, they would take, they would be changed out and the next winners would go in.
Okay. Any comments or questions?
Is there a to-do in there? Like, do you want me to look for locations?
That would be great.
I mean, do you want some assistance with that?
Yes, please.
I was gonna say too, if you do the music or dance, maybe Willamette Falls Studio would be willing to work to do a recording and play that. I don't know if that would require any money, but.
Probably. Yeah, they need money too. And I would get, it's funny, so my art program that I used to do had, Metro would select pieces and put them up for 2 weeks at a time.
Nice.
And, well, it wasn't until somebody came along and said, what is this doing in here? So you had to have an agreement. So yeah, for your homework, it would probably be asking what kind of a memo of understanding or whatever somebody would need to say, yeah, we can do this.
Any other questions or comments? I have a couple questions and one comment. So first question is, you talked about it being for 18 and older, then you also talked about paying the artist or working with the Clackamas Art Alliance. Are you planning that it would be only really promoted to just artists, or are you thinking it would be open to general public, someone who might not be a professional artist, but it is a hobby of theirs and they want to submit something? Are you looking to keep it to artists only, or are you looking to include just general public?
Well, that's a good question. How would we reach out to those people?
To just artists or
to a general public?
Well, you could put stuff on our website, you could do some social media posts, you could put it in the Trail News, you could, with the 6x6 art show, I think we ended up putting it on, what's that site called?
Next door?
Well, it was similar next door, but yeah, similar to that, basically a way to share information. I think Peachtree is also something that Oregon City has.
That's the school system.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought Oregon City had their own version of that they use for messaging, but maybe not.
I thought it was school district.
Yeah, so then that wouldn't be an option. But yeah, there would be other ways to do it more general. You could even just do bulletin boards in coffee shops and stuff like that. Oftentimes people see those and sign up for things, so.
Yeah. So maybe some funds for some flyers as well.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's not a question, but I get to the comment. I like that you have taken this and said, let's try and do different things with it. Let's try and get more involvement with different disciplines. I like all of that. And I know that we had the contest last year with the K through 12. The thing that I come back to, and I think I might have said this last time too, was what is the ultimate objective of this program, this Art for Every Heart program? Is it to showcase more art from different people? Is it to have people who don't necessarily participate in art or public art become more involved in public art? Is it to hit those like groups that just don't get that chance or don't see an opportunity that they get to tie onto and giving them opportunities? Is it a underlying theme of us that we included to broaden the art available in public art available in Oregon City? Like I'm trying to get the understanding of what value does this add to the community in general. And I like the idea of like we showcase the art, they get award, they're promoted, but just having the art up afterwards and showing it for 2 years doesn't really resonate to me that helps the community anyway, besides giving them some more art to look at, which is great, but it's not really having a profound impact. And so that's kind of my thinking of where I'm at. And in the strategic document, we talk about that a little bit, that program will be broadened and we need to come up with ways to broaden it. So that's partially why I'm thinking this way. But yeah, that's kind of my thinking. Like what does this contest lead to in terms of adding community value?
Yeah, I think that the part of the problem is it's every 2 years. Mm-hmm. What do we do in the interim to keep it alive?
And that, I think, was the original contest that we kind of came up with. But the program itself can be further developed and changed. Mm-hmm. Rebecca can add some more context if I get anything wrong. But recently, there was a TV producer in Oregon City talking about some work and maybe doing some promotion stuff here for tourism. And they even said they saw the Art for Every Heart sticker or emblem, and they said, if you don't trademark that, we're going to take it because we can do stuff with that. Oops. We would utilize that. So there is great value in that message, Art for Every Heart, and I feel like we should try and develop it into a program that really meets that expectation, right?
Well, how do we do that?
That's a good question. I think about, okay, if we wanted Art for Every Heart, maybe it's how do we get art into everyone's heart? How do we get art into everyone's daily lives? And look for good programs that might be more on the, for lack of a better term, I'm going to say guerrilla style, where it's big impact but low cost, right? It's maybe focusing on people of diversity in this area, people who, James used to always bring up men was a big group here that we don't fundamentally have on our side because they don't see public art the same way that maybe others do. And I'm not necessarily saying that's accurate, but there are probably subgroups here that don't feel like they have a way to express themselves and share that, and giving them opportunities to do that would be awesome. I had talked, I forget about with who, there's a skate shop in Oregon City that was looking for ways to get involved and do things. If we bought blank skateboard boards and we gave them to artists and we did art on them, and then we gave those away as a way to, encourage people who, I think skaters, how much art the skater guys get into? That could be a cool way. Or you could look at other groups and figure out cool ways to maybe do it, and it would be a way to, again, bring more art into everyone's daily lives. I'm not saying that's the way we should go, but there could be cool little projects like that. It doesn't have to necessarily be a contest.
Okay,
Every 2
okay, I'm
years.
thinking now, okay, the themes, we could build on those themes. Make it something a little more tangible. What that is, I'm not quite sure yet, but like, I like where you're going with the skateboard and,
Yeah, it could be little things like that. I mean, it could even be a real mixer where you say, we're gonna have I'm sorry, I need more time to think about that idea. But yeah, I think that could show real value with the program is how do we bring more public art into the everyday lives of the citizens of Oregon City, and really focus on those groups that don't get that opportunity to express themselves normally through public art or regular art. You know, how do we impact there?
So it almost sounds like she was doing it on discipline of art, basically, that was what the categories were. You're suggesting instead to have these discrete groups that are targeted.
Yeah.
Instead of-
And focus on areas that they like and incorporate art into that, and then see if that is a way to connect them more with the public art in Oregon City.
I think we need another meeting.
Well,
Yeah.
We've got time, like again,
time to think.
Until
Yeah.
February.
yeah, you have till February, we can come.
We're gonna have another meeting. There's going to be wine.
I knew this was. I'll bring wine and cheese.
I mean, that's my thoughts, and I'm one person on this board, so, I mean.
Yeah,
It's intriguing.
it does, yeah, like we are a group. It helps when we all, you know, bring our thoughts to the group, you know.
One thing I like about what Josh was saying is the drawing in of other community groups. So, for example, like the skate shop, like saying, how can the skate shop get involved with this contest this year? Or maybe like, how can the auto repair shop get involved with this contest this year? Like looking at different community partners. How can a restaurant get involved this year or something like that?
You know, another one that I heard about was there is evidently a kayak group or a rafting group that does, they go along the river and they clean up the river and they take the trash and they can make art out of it.
There we go. That's cool.
And that way, that, again,
My
it's
first
kind
Earth Day.
yeah, I mean, there's lots of little things like that we could look at doing and kind of promoting different groups through, and really get them excited about art and how art can still play a role in what they do every day.
And it doesn't have to be an every 2-year thing. It's just we have to use up that $2,000 that we all agreed we would set aside for this program during that 2-year period.
It could be ongoing.
Yeah, and it
Small
could be more
projects
than
here and there.
2,000, yeah.
Well, it's more interesting, that's for sure.
Cool.
If you think about it.
Yeah,
Than a contest, yeah.
I'm into it.
okay.
Need
So-
another meeting, so we got.
Take some time and look through and, see what kind
Yeah.
of falls up. And
And please, you know, we don't have to officially meet. You can just email me, you know, or text me a message if something pops up in your head, you think something's cool, whatever.
yeah, bring ideas to the next meeting and we
However
can
it comes,
discuss things. Yeah. Or if we need to, I mean, here's the other thing, start getting some stuff together and we could bring it up at the next Creative Action Lab.
Okay.
And get more ideas from community members outside of us
Yeah.
who might have more ideas about things like
And
that.
that's cool to say we have this concept and we have this money. Like what can we do with this?
Yeah. Everyone.
And now do we need to trademark it?
Well, so I
know.
will say, so, okay, there's a couple things
No,
with
have
trademark.
an SM on it.
Yeah, so Rebecca has started adding the SM on the logo, which is the service mark. You can also do TM trademark, but service marks seem more aptly here. It doesn't have to be registered, but by putting that on there, we have a little more protection if someone was to try and take it. We can argue that it was ours and we did put the mark on it and stuff, so.
Nobody else is using that we know of.
There are similar, I've seen similar And verbiage.
Yes, and I've seen some similar verbiage as well, but there would have to be, someone else would have to have it registered and have it registered here to have it be really bad. I mean, we could do that search and that research to see if there is any others. But yeah, I think
I did an initial one and there wasn't,
anything directly conflicting.
right?
Other than the artforeveryheart.com that I just found.
What is,
Art for Every Heart. Raj has always had a strong interest in art, sustainability, community design.
So there is
okay,
one.
we can look.
Oh, sorry, it's a .com, like he created a website, so
But if it's not trademarked either,
we'll steal it from him.
but it's a good point. We need to look at it a little more.
Yeah, I
How
think
it's
we do.
being used, we're using it specifically in relation to an arts commission and our program within an arts commission.
Yeah, it depends on how it's being used and if it's being used for profit or not. Right now, it's not. It's not being used as a for-profit thing. So, but yeah, we should take a look at it and maybe even talk to legal counsel too if that's something that the city commission would want as an asset. I think it's an important asset for them to
Invest
protect.
in, yeah.
Yeah, let's make that a point of interest.
Awesome. Okay, so we're good there.
An Instagram handle, yep.
Probably, yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
I
Okay,
think that's it for now.
perfect. And I'm going to pass it over to you then for the next item, update on required legal document to authorize a mural on city-owned property.
This is really not even an update, just a point of information I wanted to share with folks. As Josh said, I did receive an application this week for another mural, which would be on by the Elevate Plaza. And in having a conversation with that artist about the easement requirements. So the property owner, as you know, is part of Oregon City's public art mural program. When someone puts up a mural, they need to have the property owner enters into an easement with the city for purposes of making sure that mural is maintained for the at least 5 years. And in having that conversation with our city recorder and with legal staff, we were talking about, well, is the easement, well, why did we choose easement as the specific legal tool that ensures that access and continued maintenance of the mural over that period of time? I'm not proposing that we change anything. We just had the revised municipal codes approved by our city commission. But it was interesting to have the conversation with legal staff about would another tool perhaps be a little less wonky than an easement. So I'm not proposing anything now. The artist that submitted that application recently is going to continue forward with the program rules as they exist, and were just adopted into our municipal, but it's enough but I do want to continue to have conversation with legal staff and with folks on this commission.
So you're talking about the application that's for a privately owned business putting a mural on, but in terms of the city-owned property, has there been any conversation on the easement form for, say, the Railroad Avenue one, and needing that to complete the application so we can approve it? Or not approve it, I guess we don't know yet, but. That's the question I think that's still open and we need to resolve ASAP because they have to start the project, right?
Soul flags.
Soul Flip,
Right.
yeah, right now, that was
I was
the
like,
one
we're
piece.
no longer ASAP.
That was the last piece of their application that was missing was the easement form. And I think, and when we talked, you said that legal counsel might consider changing it to something like a covenant, which would basically state that if the city was to ever sell the property with the mural on it, the mural would be upkeep of the mural would be conditional upon the purchase of and that would alleviate the need for an easement form directly. So that's what I understood the issue being, and that you were talking
Right, and then we began to talk about would covenants potentially work in other locations as well. Yes, we can have that form. She and Carrie Seidel, city legal staff, said she would work on drafting that. So we'll have something.
Okay. I can't remember off the top of my head, I think it does mention there's an easement in the municipal code. So if we're going to change it at this point, would that require us changing the code again for us to be able to accept that, is my question to Carrie as well. If she thinks easement can be considered covenant easement, some legal agreement, then we might be fine. But if it does require that, would require it to be reopened up.
Right. She thought she would be able to have something drafted for us in time
Okay.
for us to resolve that matter, before our June meeting.
The only other possibility, if it saves time and stuff, is something from legal counsel that says we can waive the requirement of the easement, but we can't do that since she has stated twice publicly on record that we should be asking for it. So we can't go against what legal counsel has advised. So if she advises differently now in writing to us, we can take that as well if that's easier. It sounds like it could be a hornet's nest, and it might not be, but it just depends. You never know with legal. Any questions or comments on that update? Okay. Next up is a strategy document. So in the packet that was sent out, a updated strategy document was sent. The only piece that is missing is the executive summary, which I was waiting on writing until all of the changes were kind of drafted. I did receive comments from a few people by the May 11th deadline, and then Ann also sent in some comments that I incorporated as best I could based on the other changes that happened. So right now it's pretty much in its final state. I will open it up to any other comments, questions on it if you've had a chance to review it. Otherwise, my plan is to write the executive summary, submit it back to the city or to the Arts Commission for approval at our June meeting. And then once it's approved, it'll go into effect July 1st, and that'll put the 5-year alignment in with our biennium, so it'll end the biennium of 2031.
Yes,
It'll end June 30th of July.
it's math.
30th.
It hurts.
2031.
I got it.
Comments, thoughts, questions, concerns? Okay.
It's exciting to have it moving forward and have a roadmap.
Yes, and then that'll be the next step is I'll take this and we'll put it in a roadmap, and then every meeting we'll have it as a way to see how we're progressing against that. And again, it's not meant to be 100% stringent. It's a living document. We might find that we need to take more time and take step by step and not rush things. So yeah, however you want to do it.
Yeah,
So,
sounds good. Thanks, Josh.
okay.
Yeah, it was a lot of work, Josh.
Yeah. Next up is the sidewalk chalk proposal. So, as you might recall from the last meeting, we talked about how, if any, we wanted to be involved with the Festival for the Arts that TRAG puts on every year. I had thrown out the idea of maybe some type of sidewalk art piece. I did some research on what Hillsborough does with theirs. Theirs is pretty cool. It's like 10 to 15 artists that do sidewalk chalk regularly. And then they pay them to come out and do pieces, and then they kind of have a lot of stuff that happens with the businesses around there. So people kind of walk through and see the art, and they're really high end. I thought, given that this is more of a community festival type thing that is to showcase art and artists, that something more fun and engaging would be better. So I did kind of a 10 teams, 5 to 6 people per team kind of style, where they would get several hours to draw out a thing, like kind of like a little competition like they did with the sandcastles in Portland, if people remember that. So it could be groups like from a business, it could be groups from neighbors, it could be all sorts of things. And that would be part of the be held at the Festival of the Arts. Kristen, who is on our commission, as well as with Trag and is running that, I sent it to her as well, and she had some comments. I don't know, Kristen, if you wanted to bring up any points that you made. I read your email. I don't think I had a chance to respond to it before tonight, but anything that you want to add to this?
Yeah, sorry, I sent that response so late. So part of it was I was still waiting to hear back from the Parks Department to see if they had any objections about it even happening. And when I sent in my request, I hadn't seen the areas that Josh had circled as far as the locations of where those would go. So in my head, I was thinking of the sidewalks along Washington Street, which then you'd have to be careful because there's just like that grass strip between the sidewalk and the road. But I do have a lot of like the flag tape, so we could take that up to kind of keep people corralled. The proposed sites would be impediments to foot traffic. So that would be a problem. So the circle area is where we have all of our food trucks, and people are passing through there from the main park to the garden area, as we'll have artists in both sections. And the trucks are coming and going morning and night, so they'll have to drive over the art. The main sidewalk coming in through the grounds, through the park area, we can't block that off, you know, for people to be able to go and visit the artists, because people are paying money to sell their art here, and I'd hate to block that. And then the circle up by the interpretive center, I can certainly ask Corinne if that's a possibility for her, but I don't want to block the traffic for the visitors that they have coming and going, because they are open all weekend as well. But I'm happy to ask about that one. I don't know how many teams you'd be able to fit up there.
Yeah, I think
I was also,
it would be helpful to do like a site visit there and see what. I didn't go down there before I wrote this. I tried to look at it from Google Maps, but yeah, talking with people on site would be helpful. On the interpretive center thing, point that you made, you know, blocking them, we could also try and do it where the theme is End of the Oregon Trail kind of thing, and so that if once those are left up, they'll eventually wash off, but it kind of gives them a little bit of promotion as people walk up to the museum to see it. They could have these pieces of art on the ground.
yeah, because there's a sidewalk like around the parking lot, which you could incorporate as well. But I would just want to make sure that they're good with it.
Okay.
So I'll ask about that one. The other thing I was thinking of, there's been festivals that I've been to, it would cost money is the only thing, but they'll erect like plywood boxes almost, and then people can decorate each side of that. So if you had a 4-sided box in the lawn in several areas, we could paint it with chalk paint, and then they could do the chalk art on that as well. We could do smaller ones and set them up in different areas around the park.
That could even be
That's
preserved.
cool.
Okay. Okay, so I guess what I'm hearing, Kristen, from you as maybe with your Trag hat on, you don't have necessarily an issue with some type of activity like this. All details we can still plan and confirm, you know, location and all that. Because yeah, we don't want to impede anyone. We don't want to block people. If that's the case, then I turn it back to the Arts Commission and say, this is a more extreme involvement it's going to take some planning and stuff, and I'm happy to help take lead on this, to work with Kristen and organize and set up things, registrations, all that kind of stuff. If we want to spend the money on it, we also don't have to do that. We can do a simpler engagement there and just, maybe even just a booth or something. If we wanted to go that route, or we don't have to do anything at all. Those are kind of options that we can talk through and talk about, but start to get people's general thoughts. Chris, is there anything else you want to add to that if I misspoke on anything?
No, that's all great. So yeah, we can definitely talk through the details. And then I was also thinking, like, there's always like a 10 by 10 option tent.
Yeah.
If you want to do an activity or just share information, but then also the entire stage, like the permanent stage structure. I don't have any plans for it at this point. It does get sunny and hot, is the only thing to keep in mind. But that whole place is open and available for something to happen as well.
Okay. So one question I did have was, I had mentioned in there about having maybe a band playing down there as part of this competition, just to have them play while the art is happening. Is there going to be music down there already?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a main stage area that's going to be set up on the lawn and the grass.
Okay.
The big lawn. And then there's a smaller concrete platform over in the garden area that will have music as well. It doesn't go all day, but it's there in the morning at least.
Yeah, and I wouldn't want to interfere with those. So that plan, I mean, we can modify that, but I was pushing for about $500 to have a band play for them, but we can remove that from the budget. So, okay, switching.
And I guess the last piece is we always struggle to find volunteers. So depending on how many people you think this is gonna require, we'll probably need your help to get the volunteers for that.
I think I have some people I know that I can twist arms on.
Okay.
It's so nice to have family here.
We come out of the way.
Have a nice day. That was engaging. I'm a newcomer to the city.
Oh, thanks for coming in.
Coming.
Thanks.
So, what are people's thoughts on this proposal? Again, little things can change, but in general, are we leaning towards this end of it? Are we leaning towards a booth? Are we leaning towards not taking any involvement? Thoughts?
I don't know, I was thinking maybe have an artist do quick caricatures or portraits or...
Like a character artist come in?
Yeah.
Okay. That's another option. I did also, that was one piece that I didn't mention, was I would also like to do an RFQ, reach out to artists. There's a few that I pulled the names from the Hillsborough event that are local, and we could reach out and see about having them come. And then I thought we could have them do our Art for Every Heart in chalk, that logo, and we could record it like a fast forward and have that as a time-lapse video that we can use for promotion and stuff later on.
Fun.
I like that.
I'd say you plan on that anyway.
Okay.
Now, are you talking about on a sidewalk surface or up on a box or?
Originally, I was thinking all on the ground, but we can, with the box idea, we can change that up a bit.
It doesn't even have to be a box. It might just be,
Yeah, we could build like large easels that we put
Right, just a piece of plywood.
a piece of plywood on.
Right. That's cool. I like that.
Does anyone know, can you seal chalk? Like if you did that with the board, you could seal it and then it stays?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's another option we could reuse.
You can put it here for every meeting.
Well, that's the other end of it, is like, who's gonna, if you want it, where's it gonna be? Who's gonna bring the truck to take it back and forth?
Take what back and forth?
This thing that is created.
Well, so,
It could be
yeah,
broken up in panels too.
if it's in panels, I think we could find some storage for it, or we can find a way to display it.
I would want to know that first.
Yes.
I mean, just because we're gonna, it's like, I don't have any room in my garage, I'm sorry.
I have a question about the participants, because if it is going to be something that we are saving or keeping, when we did the, was it the 6x6 art show, we had a lot of, we had like a lot of kids come and get the 6x6 panels and stuff, and that was great.
This is 18 and older. I did change that.
Oh, you did? Because I'm just wondering, or if we're gonna get some, are we gonna get art that people are putting a lot of effort into? Are we gonna get some more amateur kind of stuff,
That's
and
fair.
if we're putting a big investment into materials and supplies and we want it to be something that we save, then we are gonna want like a certain level of quality.
Yeah, and I mean, we might not get, a Michelangelo in everyone.
Of course.
We,
I demand Michelangelo. Come back
We
from
don't
the
want
dead.
stick.
yes, no, and that's the idea. Well, the plan with the registration would be that there'd be some requirements, like, we're looking for good artists, like, I was gonna ask, actually, that they submit if they have pictures of their own chalk art that they've done themselves, because there are a lot of people that actually do really good chalk art on their sidewalks and stuff in their neighborhoods and things like that, so.
Well, you had people down that were going to sort of mentor the kids, didn't you?
The kids part, I was just gonna buy some extra sidewalk chalk and give to kids as they're there, as like.
Yeah, like a kid zone.
little
Yeah,
kid
but
thing
you
they
had
do.
something about paid professionals being.
Well, we'd have one paid professional come in, and we would also share with them, like, tips and tricks for chalk art. So I found out recently, I think you have to wet it, and it works better.
I remember you saying that.
Things like that people might want to know. I feel like you're right that, yeah, we could get some low-key, but if we get some higher-end ones and those people continue to win, it might become more of a competition, like the sandcastle thing did. The first year, not everyone probably did elaborate things. We could also have the artists kind of help coach people on the side a little bit, like, if you're trying to do this, and give a little bit of advice.
So I think we have to make up our mind, if we've got the bandwidth for this as well, to hurry this up, because it's only 2 months.
Yeah, it's in August.
I mean, in fact, it's not even 2, if I'm thinking about it
Yeah,
correctly.
it's just over 2,
Okay.
about 2.5.
Or, this is a great idea, but we've got so much on our plate right now that we won't do our best this time, but we'll have roadway to do it really well next time if we're going to hire somebody like you're talking about, or figure out where these people could be outreached to.
So maybe a middle ground between just a booth and that is to hire a local artist to do a rendering of the Art for Every Heart, record that, and then we could maybe look at doing the full competition at next year's event when we have more time to plan it out. And then that way, Kristen, we wouldn't need as big of a space to do it, but we could still do it in some area there that, people could kind of walk around and see and watch what happens, if that works for you.
Absolutely. Whatever you'd like.
That sounds good.
Who's going to do this, Josh?
I'm willing to take
Aren't
this
you
one.
already,
I wrote it
like-
up, so I'm willing to take this one. I think we can get it going. We set up the RFQ, get it out in June, and then select someone in July, and then, have them come in August, early August.
All right.
Luckily, it shouldn't be too much prep for this kind of piece of art.
Right.
So yeah.
Are you still interested in that pad up by the museum?
That could be one, or yeah, my goal would be to meet with you, Kristen, at some point, or maybe someone else from your team, and walk the site and kind of figure out what works with what you currently lay out is. I say team.
Alrighty.
I know you're doing a lot of the work, so.
I'll help you. I've got a couple of other big things coming up at the same time. And our big neighborhood association sale that I'm one of the key.
Because you have that the same weekend? It's a busy weekend, and
It is a busy weekend.
It is a busy weekend.
But because, so I'm saying, I got other stuff, but I will help you. You should not have to do this on your own.
yeah, I think we hit it hard, we can get a lot of it pumped out pretty quick.
All right.
So,
Thank you.
okay, so with that, I can come back in June with a final proposal with budget estimates and all that after and a RFQ that we can send out. Does that work for everyone?
Excellent.
Okay. Awesome. Last thing, and we have 8 minutes left, city commission update proposal. So in the packet that went out, I went through and I kind of tried to summarize everything that we've done the last year since we last updated the city commission, highlighting, the projects we did at the end of H1 2025, second half of 2025, we worked on the municipal codes, got those done. This year, we've been really focused on the strategic document and a few other projects. The website getting launched was a big thing that I wanted to highlight. My goal is to take that and present it to the City Commission on June 17th, at their meeting on June 17th, because that's the next one where I will be in the city on that date. But if the things that I'm missing in that update that people thought I should add, I will note that there was 2 dates that I need to go back, and I'm probably going to work with Ann to get them from the city recorder, which is the date that the municipal codes were approved and the date that they went into effect. I think I know the dates, but I need to double check them. But yeah, any other, and then my goal is to present that, and they want a written up version. That's their preference, so.
You said that's June 17th?
June 17th was the date that I was gonna plan to try and go in and give the presentation to them, because we're supposed to give one annually. I mean, usually it's in May, but again, the dates that I was in town for, when they're meeting, June 17th was the first one after May 1st. So.
And I can get those dates for you, Josh, just to
Okay.
confirm.
Would you like any help with that, or?
I was going to ask, do you need any support around that?
It's a great little, you're all welcome to come and
Cheer you on.
cheer me on, yeah.
Do you know what time it's at?
Normally they meet at what?
The meeting starts at 7. I don't know
Yeah.
where we'll be on the
We could be at the
agenda.
very end of the agenda.
I do think it'd be great if we had a couple folks, but
Yeah.
that's up to you guys. It's certainly not required.
What date? June 17th.
June 17th be the date we're asking for. Might not get it, it's always up to what was on their agenda, they have priorities.
Oh, okay.
But that would be the date I would ask for, then it might fall into July, but hopefully by June,
Yeah, I think we want to have it before the end of, I think June.
yeah. Okay. I don't think we need a motion to approve that. So that brings us up to communications. Open the floor. Anyone have anything they want to bring up?
I have a question.
Yes.
Where are we at with the new commissioners?
So we have received, what, 2 or 3? 3 applications. We were thinking about trying to fit it in this week at this meeting, but we thought, again, we don't want to overburden ourselves. So we are going to coordinate and have them come to the June meeting to do the interviews there.
Okay, cool,
So-
exciting.
Yeah.
Can we get those applications, like,
Do you want them before the meeting minutes?
Yeah, that
would be
okay,
wonderful.
Okay,
I was kind of thinking we were gonna get them when they came in,
okay.
or when it closed,
Yeah, we were, like Josh said, we were originally going to invite them to come tonight, but yeah, I can send them to you all now.
Just please.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And it'll be the same format as we did in December. So asking the same questions, has to be the same questions to all candidates, scoring system. So we'll be prepared to do that at the,
I did want to ask a quick question about that. I don't know if I'm remembering this correctly or not. Did we have them all participate via Zoom? So there, or could we just have?
No, we were here.
no,
They were all here.
We all waited in the lobby together and then got brought in one by
Okay.
one.
yeah. So I think we just
Rainy.
So I remember there was some conversation like, that'd be awkward, or.
It was like
Oh,
glad.
no more awkward than all 3 in the same room listening to each other.
Okay, all right, so everybody's
from
here,
years
okay,
ago.
that's fine.
we'll get that arranged.
We also sent them the questions ahead of time, and so they had like a week or two to prepare.
Yeah.
That's great.
Cool.
Okay. So we'll use the same questions we did last time. So I just send those questions to them.
Yeah, we'll just redo it.
Josh and I were looking at him. He's going to do the interviews this time since he's not interviewing. And I will let him see if there's, I think we wanted to refine the first question because it was really long and people forgot like what was the question. So that needed to be cleaned up a smidge. And I think on the ones that were distributed, we dropped one of the questions, which was about communication. So we just, I want to make sure you have the most up-to-date list.
Great, thank you.
And we'll clean that up and get that to you.
Perfect.
I had an idea while we were talking about this chalk festival or chalk competition because we've talked the last couple of years about having some art getting made at Porch Fest, and I know that it's short between now and then, but also we're talking about wanting to have some more contemporary or maybe even urban kind of art, and so I was thinking just to, having ideas if the Arts Commission would be interested in participating or cooperating with Porch Fest in some way about maybe like doing some street art or some graffiti art or something like that that's taking place during that event. So just something to think about.
What would that look like?
I don't know. It would look like whatever we wanted.
Abstract.
It could be a competition.
Well, I hear you, but if you're asking for something, what are you asking for?
Well, it could be a competition. It could be just having some folks come in and make art there at the event.
And
Well, that's what those boxes were that I was originally talking about, is usually the boxes are set up at the beginning of the festival, the artists are in there, and they're doing the spray painting. It's mostly spray paint, and they're doing those in the beginning, and so then it's done by the middle of the first day for everybody else to enjoy. I've also seen doors, like old doors that you get to just Habitat for Humanity or something, and then they spray paint those.
Oh, that's cool.
You could auction those off.
Or maybe I'll just do it myself then.
You have a main stage at
We
Porch
do,
Fest,
yeah.
right?
We
And what do you do
we
with
have
the
several
backdrop?
auxiliary stages.
Yeah.
The backdrop right now is just a big banner that says main stage with the sponsor, and then there's two down the side that say City of Oregon's hometown.
Have us do the art?
Could we, have a, I mean, I'm not saying it maybe this year, but
Yeah.
we could do, come in and
I
they
love
could
it.
actually do
It's
it
like a
before,
stage
that's kind of a
design.
way to,
Like a stage design thing.
Yeah.
I love it, but not this year. But anyway, I was
A bunch of doors would be awesome.
actually I was just kind of whining. I was like, why does Three Rivers Art Skill get?
oh, sorry. Okay, that's cool.
Amy has art on display. Go and see her art.
Oh, where?
Oh, blessed art thou. I mean, it's just a little.
No, it's really beautiful. It really is. It's really nicely done, Amy.
Okay, you're hired. You're my manager now. This is great.
Where do we go to see
Yeah, where
this?
we go to see this?
Where you can't access it without a pass. It's whatever building up the hill.
Development services.
Yeah, it's a development services.
Is it on one of the upper floors?
Yeah, it's on one of the upper floors.
They will give you a pass if you just, there's like a.
Yeah, no, it's true, they will, but it's
New
just.
York City Art. There used to be a very active cafeteria there, was my understanding.
Oh,
Not a lot of visibility. It's a little weird, but.
no, it's extremely weird. It's like nobody goes there,
Development
but.
Services building in county red soil, so it's in Oregon City, so it's not.
Okay.
far.
It's just not
There's
far.
apparently,
It's beautiful, Amy.
our executive
Oh, I know.
director says it's one of
Don't-
the best displays she's seen because there's a lot between those two buildings, public services and development services. So while you're there, check it all out.
And how long is it gonna be there for? Is it permanent?
No, it's rotating and I paid not enough attention.
I think it's 3 months.
And I think it's 3 months.
Yeah, because, yeah,
I think it's 3 months.
it's 3 months.
I just like, sure, you want this stuff, that's great. Okay, well, while we're shouting out, when is yours? When is yours, I mean?
June,
Okay, and where?
the Beaver Creek Health Center,
See, that will get some visibility.
featuring,
Oh, is there? Oh,
Yay.
yay.
Oh, well recognized.
Oh, yes.
Well recognize one of the subjects.
Any other comments? Okay, we then will conclude this meeting.
I would like to say thank you all for that rejuvenation of the project. That was very helpful.
Oh, great. And we don't usually motion to adjourn, do we? My brain is.
I think we do.
Okay, motion to adjourn
Yeah, but you have to call the time too.
at 8:32 PM.
Okay.
Seconded.
Okay. Consider it. Thank you, everyone. We're getting good at this. It's taking a few years, but we're getting